The more we use AI to create art, it never works and it won't work. That is believing our audience is not smart, and they are smart. They'll know when something is authentic or not.
We're spending a lot of money with these people, and I'm getting this automated response back. Maybe in the past I would have said, wow, this is really cool. They're all automated. And now I'm feeling like I'm just another number.
We can immediately tell when we get something, let's say even from a marketing firm or something, and it's written in all AI. If we can tell, we know other people can tell too.
What we've been doing is using AI to analyze over 4 million podcast shows. And this is computing power that 5 years ago would not be possible.
One of the tricks to using AI is not just take the first answer it gives you, rephrase your query, and you will get better answers.
This is Real AI Use Cases Business Owners Roundtable with host Elizabeth Gearhart, podcast consultant, marketing expert, and PhD researcher using AI every day, and Richard Gearhart, entrepreneur, seasoned business owner, and intellectual property attorney specializing in innovation. Here's how real companies are using AI right now.
Now it is time for AI Use Cases Business Owners Roundtable. So I'm going to ask everybody here for one way that they're using AI in their business. And then after everybody gives one example, we'll go around and talk about AI a little bit. Ken Davenport, what is one way that you are using AI in your business today?
AI in any business that is involved with art is an interesting thing. I firmly believe that AI should never replace art or the artist, but that doesn't mean it can't support us in a variety of ways and make things more efficient and all the things that it is supposed to do. But frankly, the more we use AI and Hollywood, my friends in Hollywood, or my not-so-friends in Hollywood, I've got lots of friends, but the not-so-friends are using AI to create art. It never works and it won't work. That is believing our audience is not smart, and they are smart. They'll know when something is authentic or not. And the most successful pieces of art are the most authentic. So we don't do anything that threatens to replace art or the artist. I use it for a tremendous amount of research. What revivals from 30 years ago haven't been produced on Broadway? They might resonate with today's headlines, all of these things, right? Research is probably the primary way that we use it right now. And of course, trying to speed up the conversion process for ticketing purchases and provide people with the information they need. Ticketing across every single industry that depends on live ticketing is a very complicated process with tremendous amounts of friction. Friction is the enemy for all conversion. So I'm looking for ways to speed up that conversion using AI.
That would be awesome. Yes. Okay, great. So Dominic Forth, what is one way that you're using AI in your business today?
AI has been very good for us, and the application that I'm most excited about is, and I made sure I was okay to talk about this because we haven't launched this officially yet, but what we've been doing behind the scenes is using AI to analyze over 4 million podcast shows that are out now. And this is computing power that 5 years ago would not be possible, as many of you are aware, and would have been way too expensive, even just a couple of years ago. But what we've been able to do is not only analyze all the transcriptions of the shows, but also the hosts, the guests, topics, the themes, the cadence. So the speech, let me give you an example. So somebody comes onto a podcast and they're very excited about a financial announcement. Using AI to kind of get early indicator information about that announcement, looking into the future, is so important to us because as a booking platform, people often come to us and they say, I've got 3 books I'm working on, or I don't know which topic will make the most sense. What we can do is take all this data and then look at their story and help them craft their narrative to give them the highest success possible on getting the maximum amount of bookings. And so we're looking at all the different trend data of shows that have performed well, why did they perform well, and ultimately increase the likelihood that someone not only gets booked, but what really matters is how they resonate with the audience when they do get booked.
That's amazing. Yeah, and we'll come back and talk more about all of this. But I want to go to Stacy Iltis and Carrie Schroeder. You can each speak, though. How are you using AI in your business?
Yeah, so we find that it's been really helpful, especially as we're growing our franchise. And we have 23 franchisees at the moment, and it's really just helped us with getting to really elaborate and expand our resources for them. So I think something though that's so important is that you don't lose that personal touch. Like this is such a people business and building a community that we can immediately tell when we get something, let's say even from like a marketing firm or something, and it's like written in all AI, and you can tell that they didn't even do a pass through before they run it by us. And it's like, if we can tell, we know other people can tell too. So we see it as a stepping stone where we provide the information initially of what we're wanting. It's kind of doing that pass through, polishing it for us, maybe expanding on that knowledge. And then we're passing over it again to make sure that it's still coming from our voice and it's authentic. And that's really been something that's important to us as we grow the franchise.
It's really just the authenticity. We love being authentic. That's how we lead in our business. That's part of our core values. And yes, like ChatGPT and AI, we use it for a stepping stone. But at the end of the day, authenticity is what people deserve.
Absolutely. So, Richard Gearhart.
I'm just going to follow on a couple of themes that Dominic and Stacy raised, and authenticity. I think there's going to be a trend in 2026 and 2027 where people are going to be hungry for real, authentic audiences, things like streaming and Broadway shows and live performances. When I look at YouTube, there's so much AI-generated content out there. And a lot of the people that I've been talking with have said there's going to be a swing back away from that, and with a focus more on live human connection. And so, of course, AI is going to play a role in some entertainment. Cinematically, I think it plays a big role in movies that are made now, and it will continue to do that. But I also think people see it and they see that it's not authentic, and there's going to be a part of them that really wants that live authenticity. You can't replicate a Broadway production with AI, at least not yet.
Well, I hope never. Robots dancing around the stage, please. For me, I use it for research, and I get into long discussions with Google Gemini mostly, but I talk to the other ones too. And right now, I'm really trying to pin it down on how it decides which content to pull into an AI summary and how it decides which content to cite. And Gearhart Law is lucky because we've been cited. Well, I don't think it's just luck. I think it's all the video that we do. And it specifically answered me with one of Richard's videos that he did on a very specific topic, AI and life sciences. I'm constantly doing research on that. And I think that the more I use it and the more Google Gemini, I have the personalization with Google Gemini, the better answers it gives me. And I keep asking it the same questions, just phrased different ways. And it feels like I go a little deeper each time. It'll give me a little more information than it did the last time. I think one of the tricks to using AI is not just take the first answer it gives you, like rephrase your query, go a little deeper with your query and really dig with it, and you will get better answers. So I've gotten some answers on that. It's really interesting because we can use the Gearhart Law data that we have to kind of figure out what's going on with this. And we are getting cited. People are calling Richard and saying they found him on ChatGPT and on Google Gemini. And actually, the podcast, this show is a big piece of that, helping us show up in those results. I do want to throw this one little clue out, though. The other thing that's helping us show up in those results are that we have reviews on our Google business page. You will not show up as a cited source if you do not have Google reviews on your Google business page.
I was just going to say, if you're using it in that way, setting up specific agents for tasks can be really helpful. We have an agent set up who has the mindset of a TV producer, for example, and we can kind of play devil's advocate with a topic and just say, hey, imagine you're a TV producer at a local affiliate station. Here's the topic. How would you approach this interview? And so we just go into those conversations with producers so much more informed, or we can push back on the client. But you can have different roles set up as agents within ChatGPT, and it has all that knowledge previously there. So that's helped us.
That's a great way to use it. Say, take on the role of this. I've heard people doing that too. I've used that for presentations, like what are people going to ask? And it's really useful.
Yep. Social media, business coach, financial. I mean, you can go through the whole Alex Hormozy.
I think the predictive value, though, of AI is overestimated. We've taken transcripts from social media content and asked it to predict how well it's going to do. And it's always optimistic.
ChatGPT is always optimistic.
And it'll say, oh, if you say this, or you put this hook in here, then you can expect, this kind of reaction. And if you do it in real life, it just doesn't seem to work out quite that way. I imagine over time it'll get better, but I'm not really sure it's there yet.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is you can implement the things it tells you to do, but I think it does take a few, like 2 months or more for it to really show up in your results.
This is, I promise we're not getting paid by Google to say this, but we did switch over to their platform. It was a big change because we were using Outlook and decided to switch over into Google Workspace. So we have also been using Gemini a lot more since we feel like it holds on to information and it's learning from, what we've told it before and like what it gets from our emails. And it's helped too, like with some of those tasks that we were trying to figure out who to give like customer service tasks to. Like it has helped even with just responding to those kind of things. Like we're interested, people are just looking for a certain information, like going to virtual or, trying a class, like where we located, those kind of things, like where it's cutting down on man hours essentially to be able to use that and then give responses. So then those who are inquiring don't feel like they were just brushed off with some very short response. So it's helped in that way a lot. And then it's also helped us when we're speaking with franchisees and looking at certain areas for them to find a studio, with making sure the demographics are there, the population, and things that we believe would go towards making a successful studio. So that helps a lot as well. Like, figuring out territory, because all areas are very different, each, case by case, but it's been helpful in that way as well.
I think, with AI coming on, I've become even more sensitive to human interaction. So we just signed up with a new vendor a couple of days ago, and we signed the contract. It was one of these automated contracts. And then we got an automated welcome to our client list email. And we're spending a lot of money with these people. And I'm getting this automated response back from them.
Yeah.
And I kind of was hoping that maybe the CEO would say, hey, thanks for signing up. We look forward to working with you. And instead, I got this boilerplate email back. And so, maybe in the past, I would have said, wow, this is really cool. They're all automated. I'm working with the right team. And now I'm feeling like, I'm just another number.
There are some downsides. I was going to say, too, we had a comment on one of our YouTube videos that one of the attorneys did about trademark oppositions. I'm not a trademark attorney, so don't ask me. And our marketing assistant was trying to reply to it. So she went out and found the answer that she thought was right. And it was totally wrong. And so she sent it to our trademark attorney, and he's the guy that did the video. He's like, no, that's completely wrong. This is the right answer. So when you respond to the person, put this on there. So you have to be really careful with it, I think. I just wanted to ask Ken quickly, since I liked your input. I know this is a sensitive issue for the entertainment industry, but do you have a favorite one? Do you like ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Perplexity or Claude? Do you use one in particular?
I am using more Claude now than anything else. When I was studying acting, I never went down one road of study. I didn't study only Lee Strasberg. I borrowed a little Strasberg, a little Adler, a little Meisner. And from what I have talked to some of the best business people I know, they study a variety of mentors, right? They have their cabinet. And sometimes I think that the AIs are like a cabinet. I'll ask ChatGPT a question, then I will sometimes copy the prompt and just put it into Claude as well. And then you know what I did yesterday? I was like, hey, this is what Claude said with the same prompt, chat. Take a look at it and tell me where you two agree and where you disagree. Because then what I find, I'm filtering, right? Like, oh, and it responded, I see, and we agreed on these points. So then I take it as another source of okay, these are things that I should focus on a little bit more, or that have a greater degree percentage chance of working, to your point about will this hook work, will this hook not work? And look, I've employed a lot of very, very expensive advertising and marketing agencies over the years. Their hooks are never guaranteed either, right? So what I find is it's free experimentation and free counsel, advice, and a free tennis partner. And what I mean by that is this. And for those of you out there who haven't yet tried AI or still nervous or not doing a lot of things with it, just like anything else, it's like dipping your toe. I believe in this entrepreneurial concept that I talked about in my first book, that every entrepreneur's responsibility is to serve the ball. We start the game. The game doesn't start without us. We have an idea. Ideas are worth absolutely nothing. It's the action behind the idea, of course, that's worth everything, right? In other words, you got to start the game. You got to serve the ball. So what I use all of them for is to sometimes just get myself off my butt about an idea, and I serve the ball to chat. And as opposed to everybody else, chat is guaranteed to respond. So I will say, I've got an idea. What do you think about this? And then, and it's programmed this way, of course, on purpose, it asks you a question at the very end because it knows the best way to get me to respond is to ask me a question, right? It gets me in a tennis match, and all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, I'm much further along in developing my idea into something. I'm much further along to getting the next big hit, to changing the world. So I often use it just to get rid of what my entrepreneurial block and fear just by, again, having someone hit the ball back to me.
I do want to say something about putting the prompts in the different models. So I had one prompt. I said, which model is the most accurate among all these models? And I put it in each one. And guess what they said? They all gave a different answer. Can you guess what it was?
I'm sure it was theirs.
Yeah, they all chose themselves. I will say, though, they all had Claude as number 2. So I from that, I felt like Claude is probably the most accurate. Claude is definitely the most mathematically based, but I was just talking to a friend who said Claude is just amazing right now. They're all good. Use the one that you feel comfortable with, but also be very careful about what you put in there. It's like the internet, so don't put anything in there that you don't want the whole world to know, right?
Yeah, and I also think, and this will become even more apparent, is they will become more and more specialized, right? I have heard before for writing and content and all of it, Claude is better for images and these others are better. Like they will get really good at various outputs. So the point is, depends on what you want to do. And you should pick the AI engine that is best for your specific task.
That is excellent advice. Thank you all very much. This was a great segment. I can tell you guys are all really smart and really using AI to help your businesses go faster.
You have been listening to Real AI Use Cases Business Owners Roundtable. We hope you found this valuable. Join us again for more stories, because the future of business is driven by AI. This podcast was recorded at the iHeart Studios in Manhattan as part of the Passage to Profit radio show.